Hello, welcome to Power and Pounders Drum Magazine. I am your host, Coran Lategra. It is Friday. Woo-hoo-hoo! Boy, it's been a crazy week. And I hope you guys are having a good week. The weekend is here, and a lot going on for me this weekend, actually. Got a concert tomorrow. I've kind of put the advertising for Edgar. His band is playing Saturday night. If you're in the local Southern California area, especially in Orange County, go see his band called Mr. Fister. And it's a bunch of other bands, and I think the headliner is a band called Athenia. I think that's right. Athea. That's the name of it. They're kind of a symphonic metal band. So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, let that bell ring. Be much appreciated. So my guest today, man, I tell you, it's been about, 14, 15 years?
14 years. Yeah, 14 years.
I remember I was working at Yamaha Music School. And, this little girl comes in. She was about maybe 11, somewhere 12, somewhere around here. Had good chops, wanted to learn more. Her favorite band was Avenge Sevenfold. And so I said, okay. And she started working on some double pedal and double bass. And she became my student at Yamaha Music School. And this was 2011-ish, 10 or 11, somewhere around there.
Something like that, yeah.
And so I want to introduce her. And her name is Faith.
It is.
And she plays in 3 bands.
Yes, I do. So I play in 3 different projects. I've been playing since I was about 12. So I'm 24 now. I'll be 25 in January. So it's been some time. But I mostly play metal, alternative, pop, stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of rock, though. But I play in one band called Charismatic Stranger.
Okay.
It's an alternative indie
I've
kind
seen
of
those
band.
guys.
Yeah.
We'll put the link in the description, your YouTube channel and your website and stuff in the description area.
For sure. Check it out. I'm not on the recording, so I got hired afterwards.
Okay.
So it's kind of almost like I'm a session drummer, but I'll be writing the new stuff from here to come.
That's good.
So that's one. And the other band I played in, so I just got hired. I'm kind of on this probation period with them, but I'm playing with them now as Black Cauldron.
Okay.
So they're a Long Beach-based doom band.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And my other band is just some jam project that I have with my little sister and a couple other friends. Yeah.
I had this conversation with the interview I did. I don't know how everybody plays in 3 different bands. Back in my time, in my day, one band, you were committed to one band. And it's like you eat, breathe, drink that band.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's everybody's, and I guess it depends on the band. They're okay with you playing in different projects.
Yeah, it all depends on the people, from what I've noticed. Yeah. And I think, too, because it does get kind of weird if one's more successful than the other. And I think what helps in some cases, because what I've noticed from a lot of drummers specifically, and a lot of rhythm section people, they'll play in multiple bands. Yeah. But they're different kinds of bands. Yeah. Because I feel like, let's say if I'm with Charismatic Stranger, I started with them before Black Cauldron. If I join another alternative band, maybe that sounds similar. Yeah. Let's say that band gets bigger. Yeah. I could get why that could get kind of, it's not my fault, but that's,
exactly.
But the nice thing is, at least with me, because I love to play metal, but I also like to branch out and do other things. Yeah. So when this doom thing started happening, it's like, we're not going to be in any of the same places, at all.
See, I would think for me, it would be more like scheduling, practicing. Okay, we got practice at da-da-da time, but yet a month you had planned a gig that same day that you're practicing. See, conflicts like that, practicing and stuff like that would be, unless you're doing a recording session, then I guess it's different. But when you're in multiple bands, I get nowadays that's how we as musicians make our money.
But it's kind of like seeing where it lands.
Yeah, it's an old school mentality. Whoever makes it first, whatever making it is these days.
Yeah, but, at this point, everyone's version of making it, is different. And scheduling can be hard. I think the lucky thing is, with the bands I'm in, I think because we're all like, we got to make money too. We got to pay rent. A lot of us can only afford to practice maybe once or twice a week.
Okay.
You know, because I mean, all of them have jobs too.
Yeah.
A couple, like I have, in one band, our guitar player is in Silver Lake.
Okay.
So she drives far to do that.
Oh,
Yeah. And ironically, the other guitar player is always the guitar players,
Yeah.
but he's in Barstow.
Always the guitar players,
Yeah.
but the drummer's got the most equipment. What's
I
up?
know. That's what I'm saying. Why do you guys have to go so far?
This is why you need a lockout like this, so that way you can just leave everything here.
Yeah.
So now, like I say, we met in 2010ish or
Yes.
11.
Yeah.
When you started playing, what drums was like? How did you know you wanted to be a drummer?
The funny thing was, I feel like growing up, I always like would envision myself playing guitar at first, like because obviously that's like sometimes the first things you remember is that riff, you know, or the melody or whatever it might be. But I noticed though I didn't really gravitate towards actually learning it. Like I thought it sounded cool, but I think when it actually came to the technique of it, I was like, man, like I like something that I can put my whole body into, you know, and. Growing up, I had ADHD, so I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was about 12.
Okay.
And I noticed I was constantly tapping my feet.
Yeah.
But it was like there was no rhythm to it. I was just doing it because I needed to move.
Yeah.
And when I started listening to songs and started just falling in love with them, I was like, wait a minute. And I started paying attention to the way the drums sounded. And so I would tap to that, to that beat. And sometimes I would remember it. And over time, I started realizing, I'm like, this would be really fun if I could actually do something with this.
Yeah.
And growing up, I like Avenge Sevenfold, you know, was a band I really loved. And I really loved their drummer, the Rev, just because he was so fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
And I always gravitated towards him because I'm like, all he's doing is moving and he's doing so much with all of that time. And it just captivated me. So when I was young, I think I also liked that there weren't a lot of female drummers. Because I was like, I want to see more of those. All my favorite drummers currently are male, you know? So when I was little, I was like, I want to do something different. And so I chose drums. And sometimes I'm like, man, I should have done guitar just because of all the equipment. But I'm so glad I never turned back, though, because since then I've always had that drummer mentality. I've always loved rhythm.
And I remember, I mean, as a teacher, you guys, I taught her when she was up and coming. She's got 3 bands going on now. So as a teacher, it's always good to see your previous or former students continue to move on to the next level and continue to pursue that career. Yeah. You know, in any instrument, but it just so happens to be drums.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, so basically when you started, you knew drums was what you wanted to do and you just started pursuing it. What are some of the influences that you have other than metal? Because I know you're a metal queen.
Yes, huge metal queen.
And there's a lot of good female drummers.
Yeah, there are. And I've noticed, and that's why I like doom metal too.
Okay.
Doom metal, I started to find a lot more female drummers.
Yeah.
And just female members in general that were really cool. Like Pegzilla is going to be one band. They're a smaller band, but they have female musicians, except for the drummer. The drummer's a guy, but he's awesome. Yeah. But other drummers that I really, really liked, and this, I guess, is more in the alternative, still rock scene, but Abe Cunningham from Deftones. I'm a really big Deftones fan. Because I like the progression they went. I also love Radiohead. Like, a lot of my songs on the alternative band are inspired by Radiohead beats.
Okay.
So Radiohead is one. I love Paramore's drummer as well. Yeah. He's a crazy drummer. Yeah. They're a great band.
Yeah, Paramore. And he's pretty wild. Actually, Hellstorm, the drummer from Hellstorm, her brother.
Oh, that's her brother?
I think that's her. Yeah, that's
no
her
way.
brother. Yeah, that's her
Usually
brother.
They're all.
Yeah, that's her brother that plays drums. So, what other influences outside of rock that you like? Because you play in 3 different bands, and I'm sure they have different styles. They're not all metal.
Right, so, they're all different.
You know, as a drummer, how do you like change your whole mindset? Okay, this is R&B funk. I can't play metal.
Yeah. How do I?
Style.
Right. How do I fit that? Because that was the hard thing for me. Is I always. Even when I tried different styles of music, I gave it that rock kind of twist. Yeah. But it was not, like, once I started playing with Charismatic Stranger, I'm like, right, I have to start quieting down. Or I have to start playing a little bit more delicately for some things. Yeah. So I started listening to more, like, Lady Gaga. And then I started listening to Madonna as well. So one of the songs that really, really, like, drew me was La Isla Bonita.
Okay.
So that's I think it was from her True Blue album. And the drums are awesome. They have this really dancey kind of beat to it. There's like a drive. And they're heavy, but they're not the same kind of heavy that, you know, I got used to
metal,
within metal, you know, but they still had that, like, oomph to it. It had
Yeah.
kind of, like, almost like if Bonham was playing, like, pop. It's really, I love that song.
Okay.
So there's that. I'm a big fan of Fleetwood Mac as well. So their
All
drummer is really good. I think it's Mick.
Yeah.
Mick Fleetwood.
Mick Fleetwood,
Yeah. So I love him just because he has, again, a very delicate style, very clean, too, and tight. And when I started learning some Fleetwood Mac songs, I had to learn to really slow things down and dial back.
Yeah.
And that was hard. It was a challenge because, like, there were times where I'm like, damn, that was a little more complicated than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And he differentiated things, and he made things sound, again, really delicately, where if I did that, it would just be so big, and I would overpower the whole band, you know? So by listening to a lot of Fleetwood Mac, I learned to really bring it back a little bit and play more mellow, but still have this really nice flow going.
You're not losing the intensity. You're still in the pocket.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's still, I think it's still definitely in, like, that classic rock realm.
Okay.
I haven't really, because I don't listen to too much R&B, but I do like a lot of, like, old school hip hop.
Yeah,
so I love Eazy-E as a drummer too.
Yeah.
I believe he used to be a drummer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, old school rap.
Yeah.
You know, and even classic rock.
Yes.
You know, that has a different vibe. Maybe some James Brown, some more funk.
Yeah.
You know, and it's good as a drummer to just be versatile.
Yeah.
You know, I try to tell my students, have your main preference.
Yeah, your main style.
You know, because you can't go, as you know, into an audition with an R&B band playing metal.
Yeah, it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly.
It's just not going to happen. It'd be like, thank you very much.
But
next.
No, yeah, exactly. And being open to all of that, too, because I learned as well. Because at first I was like, I don't want to play pop, you know, because I was like, what? And I started listening to it, though, and I feel like by learning to play that, I learned to appreciate it more. You know, because my roommate, for example, she actually really, really loves R&B. And she likes a lot of, like, Georgia Smith. And I'm trying to think who else. Kate as well. And I started listening to that, and I realized, I'm like, I can't play like that. I got to change that, you know? So I learned to really appreciate that and also appreciate the genre a lot more. So I'm very new into the R&B realm, but I'm liking it.
How did your bands, how did you guys meet your first, like I said, you're in 3 bands.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit how you guys met and so forth. How did whichever band you want, whichever one. I mean, 3 bands are like, okay.
Yeah, no, seriously, it adds up. The first band, so ironically, the very, very first band I was in for a while was like that jam project.
Okay.
So I was actually with this guy I was dating at the time. So we were together for a while, and he played bass.
Okay.
So he found out I was a drummer when we were dating. We were like, oh, let's jam.
Yeah.
And he has already like a jam group with his best friends. There was a guitar player, another guitar player, and another bass player, and ironically another drummer. So we always had to fight over who got to play first. But I played with them for about 5 years. Okay. And so after a while, we actually had these other friends through this same boyfriend. Okay. So we had these friends that we met at a gym, and I used to do Muay Thai. Okay. So a little after I stopped doing lessons over at Yamaha, I started doing Muay Thai.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was really fun, but I don't do it anymore. But back when I did that, I met the vocalist for Charismatic Stranger, and her name is Danielle. Okay. So at the time, her and her boyfriend, now fiance, were training at that same gym. Gotcha. And so we knew that we were musicians, but we were both so busy and doing other things, and we weren't that close yet. So it was one of those things where like, like mutual appreciation. Yeah. And so after the pandemic happened, it was hard for us to jump in and join other things because everybody was on lockdown. Yeah. So Danielle had hit me up because Charismatic Stranger, which was her band, her project since 2015, they had like about 4 EPs with the current members. Yeah. And so then they broke up. They went on hiatus, and then eventually just people started moving, life started happening. Yeah. They were all in their early 20s when they started that, so stuff happens. And so they were on hiatus since about 2019, so a couple years. And she suddenly hit me up in about 2021. And she was asking if I still played drums. And I was like, actually, yeah. And so she's like, how about we just learn some covers? Yeah. I have a really good friend named Teresa who plays bass. And so they grew up playing music together. They went to Cal Poly together to study music as well. And so she was like, we can do a 3-piece for now, eventually get another guitar player, and we could just start with covers and maybe learn some originals. Okay. So we started doing that. And the first song we actually learned was La Isla Bonita by Madonna. Because I knew I could play that one.
Yeah.
So we did that, and that was actually a cover we carried with us the entire time after because it worked so well. So we did that. We had a guitar player for a little bit, and it didn't work out with her. We waited a little bit, got another guitar player, and that's where we're at now with the current lineup.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys are playing out, because I saw some of the videos you did.
Yeah.
You guys are playing out. You got it following, getting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Little by little. That's a nice thing is because since she's already done, like, they were all independently released EPs.
Okay.
But she is really good at the social media thing.
Okay.
So I'm not that good at it, to be honest. But she's really good at marketing, you know, reaching out to other venues, reaching out to other platforms. She handles the Spotify, all the listening platforms. So it's perfect because, you know, I was able to kind of get my foot in there with a bit of a following.
Yeah, and something that's already established.
Exactly.
And then the thing is, too, you get to create your own style.
Exactly.
You're not learning some other drummers, I mean, unless you guys had originals.
Right.
You're not learning some other drummer's parts, and it has to be, you know, beat for beat.
Right. Because that's pressure.
Yeah, you get to create your own thing.
Yeah, and it's nice with her because originally I thought that's what we were doing. Because when we started running originals, I was like, okay, I gotta, you know, it's like a cover, basically, for me at least. Yeah. But Danielle and everybody were just really great about being like, just as long as it's on, you know, on tempo, and it still fits the general song. Yeah, like, that's okay. Yeah, so
sound effects.
We're in here, it's fine. But yeah, she was like, as long as you're able to make it work, do whatever you want with it. Yeah. And I was able to give this almost pop punk kind of style. I really like pop punk. I like emo as well. Like I'm very into the emo genre. So I was able to kind of give that vibe. Yeah.
All right, so that's project 1.
Yeah, that's project 1.
What's project 2 like?
Project 2 is going to be Black Cauldron. So that's the doom metal
band
from
That's the doom metal. Now,
you
guys probably don't know, for those who are not really into rock metal, you know, doom metal is kind of like just slow,
sludgy
grind.
Yeah, like you don't really see people headbanging in doom metal. They're like doing the lurch, you know.
Talk about on whatever zombie trip you want to be on. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, I know, and that's what it is. Basically, you have to feel like a zombie, or you got to almost go slow mo.
I could never get into doom metal. It's just not.
It's slow.
It's just too slow. I mean,
I get that.
The vocals are just
yeah.
It's like, what's he singing?
To be fair, I'm not very big on those kind of vocals either, and it's kind of hard. Because, like, there's some bands I really like the instrumentals, but then I hear the vocals and I'm like, Electric Wizard. Okay. I really love their instrumentals, but their vocalist is not my favorite. Yeah. And it's just the effects that they use, I think, on, like, their mic and the style. I'm like, like, I feel like there was just so many other ways to do it. So I get it. And Doom, too, it was funny because I'm more into like metalcore and even like you know, grunge or stoner metal. I love stoner metal because it's like a bit faster. Like Caius. I'm a huge Caius fan. I also love Sleep. I love Sleep, and they're a pretty good band if you ever want to like have a segue, you know. But Doom was kind of a new thing for me to start.
I mean, because you're more.
Exactly, I'm too fast. Like I want to like constantly.
They're probably going slow down.
Yeah, that's what they do. I'll start playing and they're like, and it's funny because our bass player, and like I'll get more into that in a bit, but our bass player is the same way. Yeah. So at least we're both like that. Okay. So they're working with us both. I'm like, sorry, the rhythm section is just very tight. Yeah. So, but
well, maybe they need to change a little bit.
I know.
You don't have to play that. Okay, 1 or 2 songs. Can we just up the tempo a little bit and maybe have a bridge that sounds
that halftime.
You know. Yeah. Let's just kind of like upbeat it a little bit. You
That's
know?
what I'm saying.
Because if it's all sounding the same every song,
it gets dead.
It gets dead.
It gets dead.
And the market, I don't know if there's a market for that for doom metal.
It's kind of a small world. It's a dedicated world from what I've noticed, which I think is cool, but it is a lot, it's a lot smaller in general, you know? And to be honest, I can't even name a bunch of doom bands, if I'm completely honest,
I don't know anybody.
Yeah, I'm like, I know a handful.
I know a band name called Impending Doom. But,
yes.
You know, but I don't know that, and they're more upbeat, but I don't think their name is like the genre.
Right. It could just be because it's a cool word, you know? But yeah, like Black Cauldron. So like I saw them, and originally it's kind of funny how this worked out, because said boyfriend I mentioned before, we ended up breaking up after some time, and it went okay. It was just, we grew apart.
Yeah.
And I was realizing, I'm like, although we're cool, we still jam sometimes.
Okay.
I want my own circle,
Yeah,
because everyone I've met was through him. Even my current band with Charismatic Stranger, that was through him. Okay. So I was like, it'd be nice to start meeting my own people, but how do I do that? Yeah. None of my friends listen to metal at all. Maybe like one or two, but they don't play anything or they're busy. So it's like, I was like, damn, I'm going to have to start putting myself out there. Yeah. And so I remember one time I was on Reddit. And it is just kind of funny how this worked out, because it felt like all of this felt fake until it finally happened. Yeah. But I was on Reddit, and there's this like whole Reddit page called I think it's called Find a Musician, or Find a Bandmate, something like that. Yeah. And I was like, let's see what's in California.
See what's out there.
Yeah, and I was just curious what people were looking for. And so when I was on there, I saw Long Beach doom grunge band, looking for a drummer. Yeah. And I was like, I was just like, well, why not?
Yeah.
And so I didn't even know what would happen. I was like, they might not even answer, because sometimes people just post something and then they forget about it. So I put it in there anyway, and I was like, hey, I'm on Instagram. Let me know if you want to jam or whatever, and then and I just left it at that. Yeah. And I told them how long I've been playing, what kind of stuff I like to listen to and play. And they liked my references. Okay. And so they were like, yeah, how about you come in for an audition? And I was like, okay. Like, sure. And I still was almost like, but I liked that it was at a studio, because I was like, in case I get killed, because I mean, I don't know these people, and that was scary, but I was just like, well, I have to.
You could have brought somebody with you, though.
Yeah, I could have, but I didn't. I think just that I do everything on my own. Yeah. But it was more like, I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to expect. And, I show up anyway, and I bring everything. And I'm like, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I had nothing to lose besides maybe some gas money, and that's it. Yeah. And it was an experience, because either way, I still have to keep up with these people, even if I don't like what we're playing or I don't like them, I still got to, for my own sake. For your own, So I show up to the audition, and they liked it. Like, they were like, you're a little fast. Okay. Yeah, but they were like, you have skill to work with, though. I think give it some time. Yeah. I can adopt that a little bit more.
Were they surprised that you were a female? Or they probably knew that when you answered the ad, I'm sure.
You know what's funny? I purposely didn't say anything. I purposely didn't say anything because of...
You didn't want that.
No.
Oh, she's a girl and we don't know type of a thing.
You know what's funny? Ironically, and this is why. Because ironically, I wouldn't have found this band had nothing had burst into flames with this other brief side project I had before this. So I found these two guys, and they were looking for a drummer for an emo project. Okay. And like I said, I love emo. Yeah. Like, that's like one of my favorite genres to play. And so... everything was cool. I sent them a couple clips of just my chops, me playing, as is, that kind of style, and they liked it. And I think I was tired, and I was definitely more haggard, because I was just wearing like a shirt, my hair was back, I was like, whatever, I'm just here to play this, send it in, it doesn't matter what I look like, it matters how I play.
Exactly.
So I show up to, we set up a time to actually jam, and I looked a lot more put together, because I was feeling better then. And the singer got really weird. And like he started flirting with me, and I wasn't, giving it back. So I was just like, I don't want that. I'm trying to play, right, and be taken seriously. And so they weren't taking me seriously, and they were giving me a lot of crap. And a lot of the things that they would give me crap for was they were just like, well, we have something to prove now because we have a female drummer. And I was like, and the funny thing was, these guys, like, I love emo because of how simple it is. Yeah. So the funny thing was, and that was the point, we were just playing simple, fun emo. Yeah. And they were like, can you play something a bit more progressive? I'm like, why? Yeah. That's not what you told me to do.
And it's the same.
Right. It's the same thing, and it's like yeah, and the funny thing, right, and like, they wouldn't play anything progressive, though. So I'm like, why do I have something to prove? And you don't. Yeah. And so finally, I called them out on that, and they started getting very sexist, and so I left. I was like, I don't want to do this, like, this is too much work.
See, you should have just busted out with a solo.
That's what I'm saying.
You should have brought your double pedal. All right, check this out.
Yeah, you want progressive? Like, I'll give you progressive. I'll give you some Tool, like. Yeah.
You're like, huh?
I guess she can. Right. Right. But I was so pissed off from that. Because I was just like, what the hell? Like anyone, if I was a guy, that probably wouldn't have happened. They probably would have left it alone, you know? Yeah. But because of that, and because that went into flames, I saw the Black Cauldron ad. Okay. But I was jaded from that. Yeah. So I was like, I don't want any preconceived notions. Exactly. So I told them my name was Faye, not Faith. Okay. And just because it's like a little bit less, it's a little more ambiguous, I guess. And I didn't send them any, there was no pictures of me, just recordings. Yeah. And so I showed up, and they were like, oh. and it was Jude. Jude is our the vocalist and guitar player, and he was just kind of like, he didn't say anything, but I could tell like they were like, because they saw me hauling everything. Yeah. And ironically, at the studio we were at, all these people were going by. They were like, "Oh, are you a vocalist?" I'm like, "Yeah." Why would I be moving this if I was a vocalist? No,
I'm not a roadie, but
no, yeah, exactly. Like no, and
not
I was
a
like,
drum tech,
right? And I'm like, no, I play drums, and everybody there was stopping me, asking what I was doing there.
Wow. So when you told them you were there to audition for a band, what did they say?
Oh, they were like, oh, is it, because they knew which studio the band was playing in, because they didn't come out yet. Okay. And they were like, oh, they're in there. And I was like, okay, cool. I show up, and they were really nice. Yeah. But I could tell they were almost a little surprised, but they didn't say a word. They didn't say anything that made me feel like, oh, I have something to prove. Yeah, exactly. Like, they were just like, yeah, we just want to see you play. So I was like, okay. And they liked that I showed up prepared, because they said that they had drummers in the past audition, not listening to any of the material. Yeah. They just show up. Yeah. And so I wanted to be prepared. So I listened to everything I could. And I was a little nervous, but they liked how I played. They liked how I jammed. Yeah. And from there, they were like, how about you come back? And I came back.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. See, in preparation, that's the main thing. Yes. To you young drummers out there, preparation is the key. You got to prepare. You can't just go into an audition winging it.
Yeah. No, you can't.
And yeah, granted, it's going to sound different live than it does when you hear it on a whatever audio you use. Right. Because and you're going to feel it different.
Yeah. It's because everyone's different, you know, and especially because I can still play as close as I can to that drummer, but I'm not that drummer. Yeah, exactly. There's might be things I just can't do the same or don't want to do the same, just 'cause that's not how I move. And some things will just sound differently live. Yeah. Some things might be played a little slower, a little faster, and you also have to be ready to improvise, because you never know what they're going to throw at you. So although be prepared, but it's almost like don't stick so hard to just like that was something I learned with you actually, because when I used to have to learn covers for like lessons, I would get really hung up on these tiny little details like, oh, well, what was that thing that he did on 3-hand or whatever. And you told me, you're like, just get the bare basics of it. The rest will make sense.
Just get the fundamentals.
Yeah, get the fundamentals. Because at the end of the day, if you have to change something, it's easier to change it once you know how the song's structured. But if you just go in there caring about every little detail that comes in, you're never going to finish the song.
Yeah. No, I mean, granted, some bands do want you to play like beat for beat because that's just how everybody knows, especially playing in tribute bands. That's why I play in tribute bands. Yeah. I mean, if you could improvise a little bit with tribute bands, but I'm just not a tribute band guy. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, I just don't want to play AC/DC because everybody knows AC/DC beats. Yeah. They know, okay, this is coming. If you do something that's different, oh, he missed that whatever part.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure. Yeah. Only to do what everyone's doing. Because I love a good cover. Like, I do love covers, but it's more so I like when they're sprinkled in. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or if you're, like, a type of band that, like, if you're, like, a rock band that does, like, pop covers or whatever, like, something different that you can add that's refreshing, that's cool. But I agree. Like, tribute bands, I feel like it's like you only have so much time on stage. Yeah. It'd be nice to play originals that you've written, you know?
Now, do they play originals as well?
Yes, so all originals.
So you get a chance to just show you.
Yeah.
See, that's the good thing.
Exactly.
Because they give you a set of songs to learn, you learn them, but then now you got your own personality into it. Yes. And like we went back to the other one, watch this. Watch this guy.
That's what I said, because when that happened and they were like, yeah, we do shows, I was like,
stupid
emo guys, like, they don't know anything. I would still be in there being berated over stupid crap.
So that's the second band. Now, what's the third band now?
Oh, so the third band is just like a jam project with my younger sister. Okay. So she plays rhythm guitar, and sometimes we do a little bit of everything, but we mainly have more of like a Deftones kind of influence. So we like a lot of early Deftones, and she plays rhythm and she'll sing, and I'll just play drums.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So what inspiration is, especially there's a lot of female drummers out today that's just like, whew.
Yes.
I mean, Brooke Colucci and the girl from The Warning. The band
The Warning. The girl from Skillet too.
Jen.
Yeah, she's really good.
I mean, there's just a lot. What encouragement can you give? Not just females, but just people drummers who want to pursue drumming as a career and the hard work. What encouragement can you give that person that's like, I want to like a kid like when you came?
Yeah, right.
14, 15 years ago, you know?
Yeah, honestly, I would say, like, just trust the process.
Yeah.
You know, you really have to trust the process because, like, that's with any musician, but I feel like drums specifically, there's this period that really sucks. You know, and I think it's just because it's so loud, it's so bulky, and there's you're the one basically making this beat, making this rhythm the entire time. You have to create something out of nothing and almost create a song, but with no other tools around you. It's just the beat. And it's hard to do that at first. And there'll be years where you feel like you can't do that. You know, at least that's me. But I feel like everybody goes through that where you're just trying to make sense of it all. And I feel like you just got to trust the process. Because for me, it was so easy for me to compare myself to all these other drummers, you know, to female and male drummers alike. It was easy for me to see what everybody else was doing and almost get like overstimulated by all this content and think like, well, what can I do? How can I be impressive like this? It's like, well, you don't have to be impressive like anything. You know, just do what feels right, you know, for you. Stay in the pocket. You can also try something, you know, throw something in there that's different, but you feel like it's either a risk that you can take and trust it, you know, and if it doesn't work, try again. Exactly. That's what I would say is trust that process and know it gets easier if you keep on putting that work in.
How much time do you practice mainly on that? I mean, being in 3 bands, I don't think you have time to practice. On your own, because it can get kind of repetitious, I guess.
It does, and actually I just kind of went through that recently where I was realizing how repetitive my practice had gotten, and I felt burnt out almost, because I was like, I feel lost. Like I felt like I was like, what do I do now? You know, because I want to make sure I know these songs like the back of my hand, and I can keep time with it. I want to make sure I can also add new flares and see what else I can try, you know, to keep updating these songs. But after a while, I was like, damn, I don't think I'm taking in anything new. I'm just repeating the same thing, and it's getting boring.
Stuck in a rut.
Right, yeah, I got stuck in a rut. And so I felt a little bit burnt out, so I started listening to different, you know, types of music from what I was playing. And getting back on the metronome. Like, because I remember I was just like, you know, I'm good now. But no, you got to get back on the metronome when you feel like you don't know what to do, because that's going to force you to figure out what to do, you know? And after a while, you're like, well, you're going to hear that thing beeping, and then you're just like, well, now it's beeping, I'm not doing anything. I got to do something. But practice, I usually practice about like 2 or 3 times a day or every other day, or 2 or 3 hours every other day.
So for future, you got the 3 band projects and recordings coming up. Any out of the 3 projects you're doing,
one will stick.
What's any recordings, any gigs coming up with any of the 3 bands?
So Black Cauldron, I actually played with them at the Rainbow recently as a second drummer, and they liked it. I loved it too. It went really well. And so their drummer is going to be retiring, so that's why I'm starting with them. And so I'm going to be playing again with them as a second drummer, kind of like a Slipknot kind of vibe, or the Allman Brothers kind of vibe. And so you know, we're going to be doing that again in September. So that's going to be coming up. So we might be playing a show out in San Bernardino and then another show out in LA. And after that, we're going to be just continuing to play shows. They actually have a repeat flow of shows once or twice a month. And then we're going to be planning on working on an album in December.
Awesome.
So that's awesome. Excited about that.
So that's that one. What about the other ones? The other 2? Well, I guess technically too, because one in your sister is more. And who knows? That may just.
Yeah, you
never know. You
just
never know. I mean,
especially sister duos. Kington sisters.
I mean, there's brother, sister, the White Stripes, and we all know how that went.
Right.
Every marching band is playing that song.
Right. Oasis. You got Oasis as well.
So what about the other one?
Yeah.
Your
Charismatic Stranger?
Charismatic Stranger.
Yeah. So Charismatic Stranger, that's the indie band. We're working on trying to get more gigs. So we only did a garage show, and that was super fun. So she's had a repertoire as well of playing over at OC Fair and local festivals in the past. So we're trying to do that again. Okay. And eventually we're going to be working on like another EP in the future. And this time I'll be on that album too, because I'm on none of their recorded stuff on both bands.
You just in some of the videos.
Exactly.
Okay, the videos, that's really what makes you get you out there more.
Right. They want to see it. They want to see it. Because something I noticed too, especially playing with Black Cauldron, a lot of people, although I feel like I wasn't as skilled as our current drummer, because he's been playing for 40 years. Yeah. So he has 3 times the amount of experience I have. But I think because I felt so comfortable and I was loose, and just moving around, like I felt like an octopus, you know? And a lot of people liked that. Like I had people telling me, they're like, you were so fun to watch,
That's good.
Yeah, and I think that like a lot of that, it's fun to capture that on video and see how you're playing. And there are even things I saw that I didn't like that I did. Yeah. And honestly, it's like the importance of filming.
It's good to critique yourself.
Yes.
And sometimes I don't like it, but...
I'm a harsh critic for myself, at least. I'm mean to myself.
Sometimes I don't like it, but,
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said earlier, you guys, as a teacher, her former teacher, it's always good to see what former students have been doing the past 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And the growth. And, I take a little pride in that,
You should. You made this.
I had a little bit to do with it, even though she was already established as a drummer. Yeah. But still, I mean, just to see you progress over the years it's been awesome. So.
Yeah, I mean, because I remembered everything we did. I remembered all those things. Sometimes when I was in a rut, I'd be like, well, what did I do with Corey?
Yeah.
That one time, or like I would think about little things we tried, things I even hated, like the metronome I hated.
I wasn't like the Whiplash teacher.
No, not at all.
The movie The Whiplash.
Yeah,
You're not doing that right.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. I'm trying to remember what the quote was. There was a quote, but I remember the part when he was just and he's practicing over and over again, and that's how I felt getting burnt out. I feel like the Whiplash guy.
Yeah, I'm not the Whiplash guy.
No, you're not the Whiplash guy. You were always very understanding. You were very patient. I could
have been a little bit hard on you, but that's fine. I see where you are now, so I'm like, okay.
It worked out. She's fine. But yeah, I learned all of that. I remembered and retained all of that as well. And I would think it's perfect because that always helped me for the ruts I was in, because that taught me how to continue to teach myself. It gave me that foundation I needed, because I was still aimless, coming in. I was still out of tempo. I wanted to play fast. I couldn't understand. I'm like, you want me to play slow?
And you went out and got a double bass kit.
Yeah.
It was like, what, a 10-piece kit?
Yeah. It was huge.
I was like, play double bass kit,
At like 15.
Like little short girl with a double bass kit.
Oh, I loved it. I was like, I just love having this audacious thing.
Yeah. All you see is hair flying here.
Yeah. Back when it was longer.
Well, it's been great, man. Thanks for coming down to P&P.
Thank you for having me.
And I got in touch with you a couple of weeks ago, and we called and, hey, you want to do an interview? And so we reached out. So I'll put your bands, both bands, in the description.
Yeah,
people can check it out. They can check out your video, your music and stuff, and when you get your doom metal band project out, you guys, the Sledgehammer out.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna start chopping some logs.
I'll put that in the, keep me updated on how that's going.
Yeah, I will.
So, and hopefully when you guys gig out, I can come and interview your whole band.
That would be great.
So have everybody in and so forth. So thanks for joining P&P.
Thank you for having me.
All right, awesome.
Thanks so
awesome.
much.
All right.